2021. I'll make a motion. Allison makes the motion, second by Richard. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Approve agenda. Okay, Ray makes a motion, second by Mark. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Approve claims today. I'll make a motion. Okay. Allison makes the motion, second by Becky. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, approval of personnel and ECA recommendations. Ann Scarlett, resignation from Salem Middle School, special ed teacher. John Stomp, resignation from Salem Community School, director of Convergence and Innovation. Dwayne Davis, resignation from Brady Schramm, music teacher. Christina Worley, resignation from Brady Schramm, instructional assistant. Ashley Williams, resignation from full-time Salem Community School bus driver to sub-bus driver. Zach George, new hire strength and conditioning teacher coach. Nick Roby, new hire from Brady Schramm 4th grade teacher. Ronnie Hobbs, new hire Brady Schramm Elementary 5th grade teacher. Austin Roberts, new hire Salem Middle School special ed math teacher. John Acton, medical leave. Anna Roby, new hire from Salem School counselor. Kayla Cornett, Salem Middle School cafeteria. Amber Simmons, Brady Schramm Elementary cafeteria. Tina Ward, Brady Schramm Elementary cafeteria. Jeremy Lee, Salem High School ISS instructional assistant. Chris Catlin, transferred from Brady Schramm 5th grade, Salem Middle School 8th grade science teacher. Jabin Moore, volunteer strength training for football. Hunter Meadows, volunteer assistant boys soccer coach. Tim Johnston, Larry Hoover, Jean Dowen, and Blair Winslow, 2021 band camp assistants. Brady Schramm, Salem Middle School and Salem High School ECA recommendations for the 2021 school year. Becky Day, Salem Middle School, late bus duty. Kelsey Harrell, transfer from Brady Schramm Elementary 1st grade to 5th grade. Ashley Williams, transfer from Title I to kindergarten. Renee Lamb, transfer from 1st grade to Title I. Jessica Morgan, STEAM director. Dwayne Malloy, varsity head basketball coach.
Make a motion.
Okay, Allison makes the motion. Second by Mark. I almost said Tom. Sorry. Mark. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, now with Community Support Business Award. Get a drum roll. Get a microphone. Get a microphone.
So this month, our Sagamore of Salem Award is going to go to John Jones Auto Group. So if you come up, it says, hereby John Jones Auto Group is commended. Go ahead. Sorry. That's all right. Yay! Is commended for your support to the students and staff of Salem Community Schools. Hereby John Jones Auto Group is deemed a forever family member of the Salem Community Schools system for their commitment to students, staff, and the community of Salem. And hereby John Jones Auto Group is awarded our most prestigious honor, a Sagamore of Salem Award for selfless dedication to the field of education, the state of Indiana, Washington County, and specifically Salem Community Schools.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for your service. You all, I know, volunteer on this board, and I know it's a lot of work, so thank you for what you do.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Congratulations to John Jones Auto Group and all that they do for our community. For action items, consider approval of an increase in cafeteria employee wages.
I'm going to pause just a second. Do we have any audience?
Oh, I'm sorry. Action items.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope,
Sorry.
we're perfect.
Consider approval of an increase in cafeteria employees' wages.
Excuse me, I'll take this. Ms. Lipka's in the audience. I'll throw this at the very end. Karen, if you talk about CEP, I'll just give you a heads up, just prelude for the next meeting. But a well needed, probably overdue recommendation to increase the wages of our cafeteria staff. This is my 4th district, and I've not seen a better cafeteria staff and not seen a better food service director at any of them. And that maybe get me some hate mail from my prior school districts, but they do a phenomenal job. And I'll throw it to Karen if you want to add anything with that.
No, just as I'm sure you know from the news and things, right now, based on what our cafeteria employees are making, they can go to McDonald's, other places, and make more. In the school food service, there's so much more they have to know. Not only do they have to keep up with county health codes and things, but USDA is constantly changing rules on us, and they have so many rules. And so that's an added stress on the staff to keep up with. And so it would probably be easier for them if they went someplace else. We don't want them to do that. We have a good staff. We want to hang on to them. And it's important to keep retention and keep experience in the kitchens.
I'd like to say that not only on that note, but also, during COVID, whenever we were trying to make meals, every one of that staff was just first hands-on, and just, there was no, or I don't know if I can make it, or I don't know if I can do this. They were right there, and what a great job they've done keeping food, which is very important, and keeping and all that they've done. No complaining at all. They make it look easy, and somehow they make beautiful food with no salt and sugar there, or at a less. That's not anything I can accomplish in my kitchen, but anyway, but they make it good, and they take good care of our children, which food is, is a great fuel that we all need. And so I'm so proud of I have to agree with you too, John, that our staff is above and beyond.
Well, and I'll add, at Christmas, when we decided that we wanted to get meals out to families for Christmas break, I asked for volunteers if they would come in and help prepare those meals, and I had more volunteers than I needed.
That says a lot. Absolutely wonderful. So we need to get it approved. Sorry. I was caught up in the moment. Okay. Allison? Second by Becky. Oh, all right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Consider approval of an affidavit for payment.
Yes, the Indiana State Board of Accounts recommends school board approve affidavits for payments prior to submission to U.S. Bank in Louisville. The affidavit before you is payment payable from the 2021 bond fund issuance fund for legal services, and is for supplemental legal services performed by our school board attorney Thomas Siders for $555. Recommend approval.
Awkward pause and awkward pause. Okay, motion is made by Mark. Second by Richard. All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. Consider approval of curriculum for computer science for Brady Shrum Elementary, Salem Middle School, and Salem High School.
Okay, you should have all 3 curriculums there. A couple of years ago, the state of Indiana told schools that they had to have a comprehensive K through 12 computer science curriculum. And so we started working on this, and each school put together their curriculum, their curriculum ideas, and we brought this to you for information purposes, but also for you to approve this curriculum, because there are some costs associated with each one of these. And I don't think anyone is here from the elementary school. And Nicole, do you have any information about that? I mean, I've got it here, but I didn't know.
No, I don't.
Okay. Middle school, I know, again, there's a PowerPoint or a slideshow there that you could view, and then high school. And that's the one that really has the cost associated with it. And Mr. Albert, I thought I saw him come in. Oh, there. Do you want to speak? Yeah, and JD, if he would like to come in and speak about the curriculum. He's coming, I see him.
You're on the spot, JD. Sorry.
No problem.
You want to?
Sorry. I mean, I'm kind of half memorized, but not totally.
Right.
So So a couple of things we got to think about when we're doing CS, computer science, a couple of things is how we're going to reach kids. Obviously, that's the biggest importance is reaching the kids and what kind of pathways we can take to them. And then sustainability. So that was kind of what we were focusing on is how we're going to get to the kids and how are we going to make it, you know, the most cost effective that we can, so that it's just not a 1 year and done and then we go to something else. Because when it comes to choosing a particular, you can go to slide 2 if you want. When we're talking about going to a particular, you know, computer science program or whatever, we're talking about it's not just about, when we think computer science, all of us just think about computers. It's a way of thinking anymore. It's kind of like the scientific method back in the day. I remember when I was younger, many moons ago, and they always preached that, and every time I heard scientific method, I thought nothing but the science. It's all about science. But computer science is another way of thinking. How do we figure out problems? I mean, we do it constantly in my interactive media class and that kind of stuff. So we're looking at computer literacy. We're looking at education, educational technology, digital citizenship, and of course information technology. If you want to go to the next slide. And Mr. Albert had found this and shared it with us. And we're looking at the that third pathway there. And I've got it all linked for you guys. If you go in, you can kind of link into the different CS resources and that. And what this does is kind of show us how are we going to get the kids when they come into us as freshmen, even 8th graders, because we're even talking about moving some stuff to 8th grade and building it up. And when they graduate, what exactly are they getting from Salem? And this is where, you know, some of the places like Prosser and those that really excelled, we can do a lot of the same things. We've got we do have the people there that can do that, and we can also start working on certifications for your C++, for Python, that kind of stuff. So we are able to keep those students here, and then we can be focusing on the pathway to when they graduate from Salem, you know, they could go to college or they could go right into a job that's going to, you know, pay them anywhere from, you know, 40 to 50 grand. Let's go next slide. So then we start looking at, just hit the arrow. I think if you hit the arrow, it should take you down. Slide 4, yeah. So then we're talking about intro to computer science. We've been talking about what programs we're going to use. We've kind of started looking at about 4 different ones that we looked over the past year, and we're going to get into those here in a second. What we've been working with and what we've been doing with computer science, now that I think about how we set this up, is Mrs. Calhoun's done a great job, Mrs. Calhoun, with her background in computer science, and put a lot of resources together and had done really good things with 3D printing, with her identity theft stuff that she's done. She's done an amazing job by putting a lot of stuff together to mash it together to fit. And Indiana is really starting, they really want it streamlined more. And that's where Project Lead the Way, PLTW, because education likes acronyms, or they love little short letters there. So what we've been doing this year is we did the intro, the CSE, Introduction to Computer Essentials, and then also the Computer Science 3. So that's when you're taking the kids that are sophomores to seniors, and then you're going to the next level. They've already had the intro. Now what we're going, we're focusing more on, like the computer science CSE stuff was focusing on taking the blocks of building, the programming, to Python, to even more. The cybersecurity, which is a huge deal. If you've been on Facebook or anything, those ads pop up all the time. And it's always out there. And we focus on, you know, what are some of the things that we can do on the back end to try to help make sure that if there is a problem or looking for problems, what do we do to contain them, maybe even to fix them. So they dove into a lot of that this year. The next one. So when so where are we going? So we looked, like I said, we were looking at 4 programs. You had PLTW, you had CoDelicious, you had Code.org, and Code High School. They can both be taught as a regular class or as AP. We're still doing research, but I think we've kind of got it narrowed down to where we're going pretty much. So then let's go next slide because we're kind of go through this. The one word we all like is free. Codeorg is free with curriculum, but you don't have all the other pieces with it going into the online pieces where they have like cybersecurity. We don't want them going into our network. So what Project Lead the Way and some of the other ones do, they have their own virtual networks that they go in. If they mess up, guess what? It doesn't hurt us. So what we would have to do with Codeorg is we would have to probably build our own network or find those virtual networks that we would have to pay for where they're not in. As you can see, there's several different levels. Codeorg does a really nice job with their curriculum. Their lesson plans are really teacher-friendly. I've used it. I've worked with it. You're still talking about $1,000 and $3,000 every single year with labs, with equipment, and that kind of stuff. Let's go next slide. With CoDelicious, we started talking there. You're talking about a $3,500 high school license. Again, they're really good. They're very new. They just kind of started off, so they're kind of limited. One of the things that kind of jumped out at me that I love is the game development. I've actually started talking to a gentleman in New Jersey that is big into with esports and that kind of stuff and developing programs, which we were one of the first ones in the 812 area code that actually had an esports team. We've been doing it for 3 years now. So they've got that piece in there. We're talking about Java, Python, and JavaScript. One of the things I didn't like, no cybersecurity. I think cybersecurity is such a huge piece for our students that we need to have that. Let's go to the next one. Code High School, I kind of put a graph on there. It kind of shows you they've really got, they've really thought about this. They've really worked hand in hand with Indiana. We're probably talking, oh, this is Code High School, sorry. Code High School, again, is one of those that has worked hand in hand with Indiana. It's about $5,000 a year for a site license, which would cover us fine, perfectly well. And I think if we do it for a 3-year, it's even less than that. And we can also talk about certifications with this one, which is what I really like, the fact that our kids could leave here with some type of certification. And they have a lot of different courses, as you can see there, or if you see on your laptops, you can see it. And one of the pieces is cybersecurity. I also took a couple of their boot camps every year. I like to go into different programs. I've done Code.org the past 2-3 years. This year I was really focusing on Code High School and to go through it as a student. So I spent about 6-7 weeks working as a student just to see what it does and how you work on it as both on a student level, and I also used it for our web design this year because they have a free piece and I have enough knowledge that I could, even though I couldn't get all the little things that you could have for grade books and all that kind of stuff because it was free, I was still able to know what I was doing to get them moving in the right direction. In fact, one of the girls, one of my students this year, she actually got I hooked her up with the Humane Society, and I think she's been developing their website. So she's actually been doing that. She actually developed because I told her, I was like, what would you want to do as a final project? And I kind of gave her that choice. Ended up, she did our computer science website, which we're going to be rolling out once we figure out all this. And it kind of gives what we're doing in computer science. Let's go to the next one. Project Lead the Way is a beast. I spent 2 years learning it. I've developed a lot of stuff for it, and it was a lot to learn. I have my certification in it. It's a $2,000 a year module for just the module itself. So CSE is $2,000, Cyber was $2,000. So for 2 courses, 10 students, $4,000. And then of course there was also $1,000 for virtual labs for each one of those. So 3,000 times 10, or 3,000 times, so 6,000. So there's a lot, it's a great program. I don't want to get wrong. If you would have talked to me a year or 2 ago, I would have been banging my head against the wall about it, but I've grown to love it. It does a really good job for what it is, but is it sustainable? And that's my biggest question. do we want to spend, because we're not talking about now just CSE, cyber, we're also talking about principals. And then we're talking about possibly adding more courses, so that's gonna be about 3,000 every single time. So you gotta think about that. Then we'll go to the next one, which is the last slide, and it's esports opportunity. We had talked about earlier, towards the end of the year, about getting actual gaming computers. We've got consoles right now. Right now our kids play Rocket League, Forza, and Smash. Those are the 3 games. With the IHSEN, there's more games, but we don't have gaming computers. So I talked to people that do our work with us, getting new computer equipment and that kind of stuff. And one of the things I'm hoping to expand with esports, because we've got the STEAM lab, that's got to be in there as well. We've got a real golden opportunity to become a really premier esports team in this area. Right now, South Dearborn's done a really good job of developing theirs. They're playing all the games because they put the investment into esports, and they just played a national. Now, I'm not sure if they faced Carmel or not, but they were playing in the nationals. They won state. We have 2 divisions. It's kind of like IHSA things, just esports. And we play in the lower division. I shouldn't say lower, but the smaller division. And our kids that are really enjoying it. We've got a mixture of kids. It's not just sports guys or sports ladies. It's the ones that might not be actually involved in extracurricular stuff. This is another avenue for them to come in. We've got a good mixture. We're missing out on Overwatch. We're missing out on League of Legends. League of Legends is one of the ones, if you go to ESPN every once in a while, you'll see it's on. You're talking about millions upon millions of dollars these people are playing for on these sports. And Rick Fox from the Lakers started an esports team. He was one of the biggest ones to put investment into it because his son was interested in playing video games. This was one way for him to reach out to his son and start getting to know what he's doing. And now it's a multi-million-dollar business. The computers that we were looking at putting in are about $1,400 a piece. They're not the top end, they're not the bottom end, but they're a DIY, which ties into computer science. The kids can build these, so they own these. We own them, but they own what they're doing to them, and then we can put them into the middle school. That's where this whole thing is, because that's where the hub is for us right now, into the STEAM. And I talked to Mr. Albertson about it. A great opportunity we could actually have in this area, like a sports arena, just be like a little section of the STEAM lab. They had already talked about putting something up there in a corner or whatever. Now we're talking about we can integrate live streaming. We can integrate a lot of different stuff, and then we can host people to come over. Scottsburg's been talking about. They started, I think, last year. And then we can start bringing in other people and be really the hub for this area. We've got a grand opportunity. Like I said, we've been doing it for 3 years. So, but what we have been talking about is going back to Code High School. That's kind of where we've settled at as far as
What do they say? So which curriculum do you recommend?
I would say Code High School at this point is where I would say, because they're expanding more. They have the virtual labs put in. It's a teacher-friendly, I shouldn't say curriculum, because Codeorg, I don't want to dismiss them. They have really a teacher-friendly lesson plans. So does Code High School. Code High School has really done a great job with what they've put in there. And that's where, when I went in to do Python, because I've used Python in the past, but I needed a refresher course, there was a lot of stuff that was really good out there. So that's where I would settle in on, is the Code High School. Any questions?
So these certifications that the kids can get, this will actually put them in the role. They could actually go start a career doing it. So.
Or it gives them a step up in the competition going into a college to even go further. So it's another benefit for our kids.
This is another opportunity that we can give them that we are not at this time.
Yep.
So JD, the high school is recommending we do not continue with the project Lead the Way path.
No. As much work as I've done on it, but no. I really like the Code High School, what they've done over the years with their curriculum. And I will say, the Project Lead the Way is really good.
Kind of the gold standard, right?
Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Here's the thing, $3,000 a year for each module. And that's, are we gonna sustain this for 10 years? Because one thing, I've been in education long enough, I've seen it where we go one thing to another. So I really want to do something that's going to be sustainable. The kids in, middle school's doing Code High School, as a sixth grader, when they graduate, 6 years, 7 years, can't do that. But are we doing a disservice if we keep on bouncing around a lot of times? And my whole thinking is the student. That's always been as a teacher, what's the best for the student? And I agree, Project Lead the Way is gold standard. It's awesome. But are you, as a school board, are you gonna want to keep on, and like I said, CSP, we haven't even offered yet. That's training I would have to go through, or somebody else would have to go through. That's another $2,000 for training for the teacher to go through that training. And then that's another $3,000.
I'd say it's an interesting time where the corporation does have the money to do these things. But that's something the board would need to consider.
So back to the consider approval for the curriculum, and it goes back to the question is where we're going with the curriculum. But the elementary and middle school are pretty set in what they're doing. Just high school is the question, which direction we want to go.
Yeah, we had talked to middle school, and I think on their presentation they had talked about Code High School, if I'm not mistaken. I know elementary, they're pretty happy with Project Lead the Way. I would be too if it was $800. And that's pretty much what their modules are.
So are we going to get approval tonight then, right? Got anybody? Any other questions or? Questions?
I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I think if it's something we don't know if we don't try. I mean, it could open up a lot of new doors. Yeah. All right, so can I get someone?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mark makes the motion. Second by Ray. Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, JD.
No problem.
Oh, yeah. I think you needed a drink after of water, I meant. Okay, consider approval of Esther stipend.
Okay, catch me left there for a second. Okay, exciting times, I think, for every family member of Salem Community Schools. We've had an interesting 15, 16 months in the field of education. And we're really excited to be able to reward the members of Salem Community Schools with a federally funded stipend program. Mr. Minton and Dr. Thurston done a nice job of making sure the allocation of these funds are going to be approved by the federal government. Feel very confident in that regard because our our ESSER stipend fund is being tied into professional development and work that people have already done. So we're really excited to offer every member of Salem Community Schools a $1,500 stipend for their amazing work they've done over the past 15 months in regards to all the extra work, effort, time, heartache that COVID created on this, not just this school corporation, not on each individual building, but on each individual person. So we're very excited to offer this opportunity. Recommend it for board approval.
I'll make a motion.
Allison makes the motion. Second by like Richard. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I'm very excited about it. Okay. Consider approval $100 per employee on school insurance for reimbursement when he or she uses the clinic.
So this one we've discussed with the clinic that we're going to be having this fall. Clinic 5 days a week, open to staff and students. So the recommendation is that any staff member who is on our school insurance program, we will reimburse $100 per employee for their visits to the clinic. That's up to $100 per employee. So that's the recommendation.
Ray makes the motion. Second by Becky. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Consider approval of graduation provider Herb Jones beginning July of 2022.
What I provided quick information earlier, we'll finish up our contract, our agreement with Jostens. It will be our graduation provider for this school year, but beginning at the conclusion of the graduation ceremonies, Herb Jones will take over that role in 2022. And our primary sales representative will be Mr. TJ Perry, who I alluded to before, has some specific ties to Salem, friends with Mr. Halston of all things. This was his very first account, so he's very excited to be able to come back and provide all the aspects of Herb Jones to us. For all the girls basketball crew, they are the provider of the girls basketball rings. Did a nice job. So recommend this for consideration from the board.
Okay, got a motion?
Make a motion.
Becky makes the motion, second by Allison. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, consider approval of flooring replacement for Brady Schramm Elementary and Salem High School.
One of the many advantages of the ESSER money is the opportunity to improve the facilities. And what we're trying to do is do a replacement of carpet and in the elementary classrooms and the high school hallways, hope to improve air quality going forward. We asked John Hawkins to put together a bid specification, which he did, and we advertised for bids. And on July the 6th at 4 p.m. we opened bids, and I've asked Amanda Hunsucker, who is with Codeorg Hawkins, who's here tonight, who was at the bid opening, because Mr. Hawkins chose to go to Florida. Just imagine that, at this time, which, he certainly is entitled to vacation, all the hard work he does. But she's agreed to kind of go over the bid opening, the specs, and talk about the vendor that bid and the process in general, and recommend that you accept the bid as submitted. So Amanda, would you kind of walk them through it a little bit, kind of explain what we're doing?
I also wanted to share that we did receive a second bid following the bid opening, but it was invalid. It was received electronically, which electronic bids are not acceptable, and it was after the official bid opening time. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So like Dr. Gerson said, in the elementary school, we're replacing classroom flooring, removing carpet, and replacing with LVT, which is in our eyes, a lower maintenance product. And then in the high school, we're replacing carpet in the hallways with LVT as well. So I have copies of the bid tab. Do I need to show that? Okay. So the low bid that we received was from Cutter Construction. The base bid was $632,000. We had an alternate number one for elementary restroom flooring. The base bid for that was LVT. We felt like it was an acceptable product, but porcelain tile in those restrooms would be more of a sanitary, long-term product. And then alternate number two was at the high school, and the base bid was for LVT, and the alternate was for terrazzo tile, which is a lower maintenance product, but also more similar aesthetically to the Fritz tile that's already in the hallways. After the bid opening, we talked a little bit about the budget, and then the bid did come in slightly over budget. A couple of reasons for that. Most of the work done with this project will be done by a flooring contractor. As part of the schedule, it's outlined that the work would be done during the school year. And in order for that to happen, they're going to be doing all this work during nights and weekends, so we're paying a premium for that work to happen during nights and weekends. And so the plan is that classrooms would be done almost like musical chairs, so each room would be turned over each night. So the general contractor would be responsible for moving furniture out of the classroom. The general contractor would do the demolition of the existing flooring, floor prep, put new flooring in, move furniture back all in the evenings after kids are gone for the day. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, that's a pretty extensive process to happen throughout the evening and weekend hours. So that's the little bit of the premium that we're paying for.
Excited.
We did include, as part of the specifications, we did include the breaks. So we have fall break, winter break, and spring break, and then we told them when summer break would start next year, at least an idea of that. So they can use those windows where they can come in during that time and work, well, I guess I would say a little more messy work where they wouldn't have to clean up every single day. So that allows them to be a little bit more aggressive in their scheduling. But the rest of the work would have to be done evenings and weekends.
We can remind everybody this is using ESSER funding. Traditionally not paid premium prices, but we have the ability at this point.
How old is that program?
We did that in stages, the old CPF plan, and I want to say around 2008 maybe, or 2009. Yeah, it's been a while, a long time.
Yeah.
It's coming apart at the seams.
Yeah.
It's hard to, it's seen about seen the life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is, this will be good for
Absolutely.
the environmental aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And cleaning.
Yeah.
So is the recommendation to accept either or both the alternates?
To me, that's depending upon the budget. I think the base bid products would be.
The recommendation was accept both alternates, yeah.
Base bid, alternate 1 and 2 is the recommendation.
All right, so I need a motion. Ray makes the motion. Second by Allison. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Yay, congratulations. Thank you. Okay, consider approval of back-to-school plan and resolution for the 2021-22 school year.
This is a pretty broad-based plan that will, Mr. Browning, I'll make sure we get this to you. We've worked in conjunction with East Washington Paoli School Corporation, so our plans are probably going to mirror each other when they're all published. What we're going to do is begin the process of trying to get things back to normal with our school corporation and an environment for our children and staff. I guess the first thing that will catch people's eyes that we will be recommending that masks are optional to begin the school year. Put in, instead of reading it each word by word, line item by line item, say that this plan will be reviewed all the way up to, not just at the beginning of the school year, but throughout the entire 21-22 school year. Because we have learned that things can change from not just one week to the next, but from one day to the next. So at this point, we've got a very broad general aspect of how we'd like to be in the process of reopening the school corporation with the ability to make adjustments as needed with recommendations from whether it be the CDC, the ISDH, or Washington County Health Department. So at this point, we're asking for recommendation for approval of this broad-based return to school plan, as well as a resolution that would grant the school corporation emergency powers to make decisions related to COVID, similar to what we did a year ago, which would prevent the need to do an emergency meeting. Knock on wood, everybody do that, if we don't need to close for any reason next year or the school year, but would allow those decisions to be made here in the offices without having to have the board gather. So with that, I'll pass it over for discussion and or comments.
Yeah, should we say that July the 1st that they kind of put it in our lap, the school board? You want to kind of?
Yeah, made a lot of news, and the governor basically said the authority to make the decisions is now in the local authorities, which is our elected school board of trustees. So, we're working together. This is our best idea as of July 12th. Now, we wake up tomorrow on July 13th. They've thrown us a whole bunch of regulations, and we'll adjust. But we're excited to try to bring some what we call normalcy back to the school year.
Can I give, Allison makes the motion. Second by Mark. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, items from the staff.
Resolution, do we do that?
That was all in there.
Okay, just make sure we do the resolution too.
Ready to go on items from the staff?
Okay.
So do you want another
Oh.
motion by resolution?
That was in
You're okay with that? I'm okay with
I'm all right.
We're all in there. We're fine.
Okay. No items from the staff?
Finished day one of band camp today.
Yay!
Marching lines about that.
In the rain?
Inside, yes.
Okay, oh, okay. I thought maybe you had them out marching in the rain. Singing in the rain, marching in the
There you
rain.
go. We had some very happy kids who went home tonight, tired, but so glad to be back together.
I love that. That's awesome. All right, non-action items?
Doctor.
I put some information in your packet, just general information with the upcoming budget process. This is preliminary information. June 30th is an important date because school budgets are built from June 30th of the current year to December 31 of the ensuing year. It's an 18-month process. We're funded and paid on a calendar year basis while the state operates on a fiscal year basis. There should be no need for anybody to be consistent and easy, about the process. It makes it more challenging that way. It makes it more exciting. So just to we took the last couple of years just to show you, for example, cash balances in the education fund for June 30th. And we're trending in an upward direction, which is positive, as well as in the operations fund. And we're projecting a positive outcome for December 31 of this year. The assessed valuation, we think will trend up a little bit this year. We hope it will trend up a little bit this year. We won't know that until August. And our enrollment is based on projections from the state. We're hoping that we were going to level off a little bit more this year, but I went ahead and used the state numbers, which still projects positive funding for us. There are two levels of funding for 21-22. There is a full per student funding per ADM of $6,621.77 for the foundation and complexity factors of the school funding formula for non-virtual students. Students are in person. And there is a $5,620.50 funding for foundation complexity factors for virtual students who are not in person. So there's the 15% difference. It amounts to about $993.27 per student. So every student that is not here amounts to almost $1,000 in funding to us. So it's just a snapshot. We'll get into it a lot deeper as we get closer to the end of July and beginning and into August. So I just want to use some initial information at this point. No action, just
Appreciate that. Yeah, good information.
Thank you.
All right, the superintendent's report.
Do you have any new board business? I don't think
Oh,
we do.
sorry, new board business.
Okay. I'm going to ask, I have an audience member. Ms. Atkins, could you go get Andrew for me? It'll make sense here in a moment. I've got a few things I want to bring up. He is not here tonight but he was on our report. Resignation of Mr. Scott as our Director of Digital Convergence and Innovation. Just want to publicly be able to thank John. We hired him about 1 year ago, right now, and said, build us an online program and you got 2 weeks to do it. Took on that challenge, and I won't go into all the specifics, but Doc will nod his head as soon as I say this. Ballpark $6,000 a kid at over 400 students. That's a rather significant amount of money that we were able to retain for Salem Community Schools. That's the financial aspect. The curricular aspect is we provided a product and a service to kids that we had other school corporations call, email, how are we doing this? Although he is not here, he has accepted a position as an assistant principal at South Putnam High School. Our loss is their gain. John was a people person, and for a long period of time, his office was in the dungeon. We finally got it renovated. It looks very nice, and then he leaves. Publicly thank John for all he did for us and his services to Salem Community Schools. Mr. Jones, want to say thank you. I've never gotten to meet you yet. Look forward to hearing in a second, but we sure heard a lot about you with this office. And Mr. Jones helped fund our teacher recognition program at the end of the school year, both our building level awards and then our corporation awards. And I think all that will happen with that program is it'll just kind of take off. Now I kind of know how that process works. So thank you very much for helping us just in that one particular area and all you do. I alluded to this just a little bit, and I won't want to steal the thunder because this will really be for the next board meeting. But Ms. Lipka, could you just give like a 30-second explanation of where we're headed with school lunches?
So this time last year, I came to you and got approval for the elementary to be what is called a CEP, Community Eligibility Provision. What that means is at least 40% of our student population is directly certified. And that means we can offer, if we choose, you're not fully funded unless you're 60%, but you can kind of play with numbers, and if you can increase your meals and those kinds of things, break even and or make money. So that means all students eat free. So the elementary was already approved for free meals last year before the federal government finally stepped in and said, we're just going to do this for everyone. And because the elementary was CEP, every family at the elementary received the EBT cards every time school was closed. And if you have a child in elementary right now, you should, if you haven't already, be getting an EBT card for the summer. Every family is receiving $375.10 on a pandemic EBT card to help feed their families over the summer. If you're at middle school and high school, you had to have filled out a meal application and been approved for free reduced meals. So what we're looking at is for next year, the middle school now is over that 40% hump, so they officially qualify. The high school is not, but what I can do for a year is bundle all 3 schools together, so as a corporation, we're over that 40% hump. And that way, every family in Salem Community Schools will get all the benefits of being CEP, whatever. And the federal government is looking at extending those PBT benefits. We know they're going to go through at least September, but even next summer, they're looking at that. So all those families would receive those benefits again. So there's broadband benefits where you can get up to $50 off internet in some areas, some money off computers. There's different benefits that go along with that now all our families will be able to receive. So that's what we're looking at. So I'm asking for IDOE approval. We've got a ton of paperwork to get together, and they will come in August and look at that and see, dot every I and cross every T, make sure all our numbers are there, and if they are, they'll officially approve us at the end of August. So, what we're working on.
So to put it out there, so possibly, if the way it's looking, every student at Salem Community School Corporation will be eating meals for.
Well, they will anyway. We'll start the school year regardless because federally USDA has come down and extended those free meals for everyone for a year. So regardless of whether the CEP is approved for middle school and high school, next year everyone will eat for free anyway. So that's why we're looking at going ahead, because it wouldn't really be in our best interest probably yet at this time with our numbers to bring the high school on, because their numbers are not high enough, so they bring everyone else down. But since meals are free already to everyone, it just benefits our families to go ahead and do that bundle. And that way every family, it's not, you know, if you have 3 kids in the school system and you've got them at different buildings, this child is getting benefits that this child is not. They're all getting free meals, but there's other benefits besides free meals that go along with the CEP. So this way every family at Salem, at least for next year. And there's lots of push and talk in the House and Senate about making meals free permanently. Whether that will happen, who knows? Now's probably the time, but we know at least for next year. But there's other benefits besides just meals that go.
That's awesome. Yay.
So, I can't state this enough. Do not, whatever you do not, let Karen Ledka leave. Okay, I call it Superintendent Privilege. I have a couple of awards that I'm going to give out, and one is to a young man named Andrew Acton.
Aww.
So let me read. Andrew's getting a Sagamore of Salem Award.
I love
It
this.
says, Andrew Acton, son and caretaker of Mr. John Acton, Superintendent of Salem Community Schools, is commended for his exemplary care and support of Salem Community Schools. Andrew Acton is deemed a forever family member of the entire Salem Community School System for his role as caretaker. That means you helped me. Of Mr. Acton, directly impacting the students, staff, and community of Salem. Andrew is awarded our most prestigious honor, a Sagamore of Salem Award, for his selfless dedication to the field of education, the state of Indiana, Washington County, and specifically Salem Community Schools. Presented to Andrew Acton tonight, Roar Lions.
Yay! Can I get a photo? Here we go. There we go. He's got his mouth open.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I've got another for Blondie.
That is so special. Wow.
Awesome.
So, for Mrs. Acton, Superintendent Privilege, we have a Sagamore of Salem for Miss Lindsay Acton, wife and caretaker of Mr. Acton. I won't read all this, you get the idea, but I felt like a little bit of a junior high student for a while because the process has not allowed me to drive for the 2 hours one way back and forth. So my wife and my dad have been my chauffeur. I felt like a very important person, right? I have a ride service. Because she has taken care of me and my dad, and the support network's been invaluable, it's allowed me to continue to do things and try to help push things and provide the services that I need to provide for Salem Community Schools. And I could not have done that without you.
Oh. Yes, kind of, yeah, you guys.
Look at mine, lay your head down.
Can I get a photo of you guys?
Yeah. Give me a second. I'm a wuss. Yeah, you're a...
Aww.
Watch it, kid.
There you go.
Sure.
How about we bring the little guy in for all three of you?
Come here, AJ. Come here, honey.
Photo op.
He's in. Yeah, he's definitely in for that.
Can I get it too? Wait, can we run
Sure.
over?
Oh, AJ.
Sorry, you don't know how popular you are.
He doesn't know. AJ, come here, honey. Miss Becky.
One more, and we'll be done.
One more, baby.
Come here, honey.
All right, this will be the, there we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
High five.
I just have one more thing, guys, and I thought it would be easier Mr. Browning, I'll send this to you as well. But, we approved it earlier, but wanted to just kind of explain a few things. It said medical leave. So I'll share this with the staff tonight. I figured if I wrote it down, then it would be easier for me to get through it. On Monday, July 19th, I will be moving to medical leave as I continue my journey with cancer. The day-to-day operations of Salem Community Schools will move to the trusted and capable hands of Assistant Superintendent Dr. Ken Thurston. You've got an upgrade, Salem. The goal of myself, my family, and medical team is to complete treatment and recovery plans in order to have the best chance to defeat cancer. For the sake of my personal family, as well as Salem Community Schools, I grudgingly concede that medical leave is the best strategy for immediate, long-term, and sustainable success. I don't like to admit that, but that's where we are at. I will continue to collaborate with Dr. Thurston on corporation matters and promote Salem Community Schools to everyone I come in contact with. Interestingly, side note, we came in someone who Mr. Jones was talking up your car dealership just yesterday. We got to promote your dealership in Salem. It is an exciting time to be a Salem Lion. We had key personnel additions tonight, a STEAM director, which has the ability to transform our academics and our athletic strength and conditioning coach teacher, who is going to help transform our athletic programs. Construction is going to begin within the month on the new FEMA safe rooms, fine arts, and STEAM centers. Upon completion, Salem Community Schools will be the only school corporation in the Midwest to have a safe room tornado shelter capable of protecting every student and staff member in the corporation. These facilities will extend to the protection and shelter of the entire community of Salem during non-school hours. Pretty phenomenal project that's about to take place. On behalf of my family, I want to thank everyone for support and encouragement we have received during this journey. I am hopeful that a full recovery is obtainable, so I may return to work at the best small school corporation in the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I pass it on for positive praises, and I'll start, and real simple. Pretty phenomenal school district. What appealed to us and what still appeals to us, and what I'm excited to hurry up and get through this stage and get back, is the pride in Salem. It just doesn't happen everywhere. Some people have badmouth their communities, they badmouth their schools, they badmouth their things. There's a lot of pride here. We don't do that. We have some growth in areas. We're very proud about past accomplishments, and we're very excited about future accomplishments. So I'm excited about the future of Salem Community Schools. Tremendous people have been hired, tremendous people are already on staff, and the additions that are going to take place both academically, athletically, and facility-wise, the conversations that we've begun with our long-term strategic planning, and it's a really exciting time to be here at Salem. So with that, I hope I was broad enough that I didn't steal anybody's thunder, but I passed the positive praises. Pass it on.
Okay. We'll start with Richard.
Yeah, I know this is from everybody. We thank you, John, for everything you've done. And we appreciate your caring about us, and we care about you. We think about you, well, pretty doggone often, because we're wishing such good things for you, and we will continue to do that. And just thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Well, that's pretty good. I like that. And, well, we wish you well. That's the main thing. We're all for that. So, a couple other things. I guess I want to commend Brent for the grant writing, because without that, the two counselors probably wouldn't have, might have been possible. Grant writing is not always easy, because you never know what they want to hear. And along with that, then I'm extremely proud that we got the clinic going and we're going to be able to help our teachers with their health issues that they have.
The clinic, I think, is very exciting, and I'm looking forward to that for our staff and students as well. But I echo them, Mr. Acton. I wish you nothing but the best, and look forward to working with you in the future. So.
Mr. Acton, greatly appreciate all your efforts. You've shown us some good ideas on some positive things that I can honestly say I'm very proud to be a part of this school board and the school system, because there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pike. Just wait and see.
I have to agree with everything they've said. I think you've made us think different. You've challenged our thinking and showed a different, we brought some newness to the table and good ideas. And I know on your little bit of time off or whatever, you'll be, I'm sure, brainstorming, writing things down, and who knows, you might write a book for us, and we'll be ready to get you back and get right back at it. And I'm sure that we can all just pick up right where we left off. So, you know, and you've got a wonderful support team, and any one of us, you know, we've all become a family, and every one of us here too feels the same and want nothing but the best for you and your beautiful family. You got a beautiful family. So on another note, I'm going to switch gears. I got to say, we had the youth football camp. Hats off to all of the, if you saw any of the photos, and love that, and love the energy, and of course it's an exciting time for that. Also, I do want to say, I can't say enough about our janitors. For our county fair we had last month, the middle school and the elementary are fantastic about allowing, and I love that our school corporation is right there ready to help out at any given time. And of course that puts extra work on our janitors, our custodians, and of course they're just like anybody. When you clean a house, you have to pull everything out and deep cleaning, and they're doing all that. And of course, anytime we need the auditorium or need something, they're right there. And I just can't say enough about our custodians, and they make it look easy, and they're doing a fantastic job, and they are working hard, and they've got it, I'm going to say they've got it tore apart, but they're going to put it back and they're deep cleaning, and a great job they've done. Also, I want to say thank you to our Hawkins. We at our fair booth, we got to display plans for our safe rooms, and we wanted the community to be involved and to see what our plans were, and I think that was well received. We put the plans up there at our booth, and I think a lot of the community got to stop by, and I want to thank him personally, because he did that. I called, and the next day his wife was right here showing up with plans in her hands, so that was very nice. And I like that personalization and that trying to make sure that we get the word out, and if anybody has any questions, that they can be answered. So had a real good time during that. So again, thanks on that. But I think that we've got a lot of great positives, and I think that when you talk about the summer, for a lot of our people, it's not a lot of summer because they're working so hard. So hats off to all of them, and I hope that they do take some time and enjoy the summer a little bit, because it is some time for them. And I think that's the big thing too, the good positive of all the hard workers and all those that are doing it because they care and their hearts are in it. So I've talked enough, sorry.
I'm kind of like Richard. Normally I'd be the last one to speak. Everybody's taking a piece. I know. See, I
Bring it
feel you now.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Right? Brad has worked his tail off on, and him on the ESSER funding and figuring out what we can do to help our staff. And so I want to thank y'all for all the work that's gone into that, because I think that's, in addition to the improvements that's going to be made, that's been a lot of checking and figuring out and reading the fine print to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do. So I appreciate your work on that. JD, I was really impressed with everybody who's been involved in the computer programming. That's a lot of work that's gone into that. And it's July, so school's out. And again, like you said, everybody that's doing things that you don't always get done. And I saw, several people have been working in the rooms and redoing things, and just the creativity that, I think there's always kind of this, teachers get the summers off, but I think that's there's a lot of evidence that that's not necessarily the case, that's a myth.
Yeah.
So I'm just thankful for everyone and the work that they put in, for our students and our school, and just best wishes and prayers for health and healing for you, and we'll see you soon.
Anybody else?
A few years ago, I watched this documentary on becoming PJ Fleck, football coach at Minnesota, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. The guy changed the culture around the football program, and something that because I'm new in this position as well, but one thing I've noticed is that really what I've started to witness is a shifting in culture, that I look to you as the impetus for that. And so, you know, and not being afraid to fail. We're going to try things, but when my wife looks at me when I've got something going on and I'm negative about something, she'll tell me to hoist the Jolly Roger. And when my wife starts uttering phrases that come from Mr. Acton, then I know that he's had an impact, not just here, but a community-wide impact. And also, I had the pleasure of attending a session online that Mrs. Acton did once, and she has a fascinating story to tell of trauma, and she has an interest in trauma and recovering from trauma. And I thought you did a wonderful job in that program. And I'd like to publicly mention you and congratulate you on what you've tried to do with what's happened in your professional life. So it's been a pleasure to get to know the both of you over the last year. That's all I got. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Well, our next meeting is set for August the 9th, 2021, and I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Okay, Mark makes the motion, second by Richard. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Don't leave without signing.
That's right. That's right.